Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new kind of way of doing our podcast that we're going to try out. We're going to call this our, what do you guys think? Too many Tamers talk, roundtable? What are we thinking on this?
We're in the Discord.
Yeah, we're doing a Discord one. Our studio is not accessible at the moment, so we're trying a different format. And it's also a good way of us getting a couple extra people on. So let us know if it's any good. We're going to try this out and see how it goes. Could be good, could be bad. I don't know. But today we're joined by Jacob and Basil.
Ooh.
And I know, Basil, you got some news about this latest event. Why don't you start us off with telling us about that?
Yeah, it's a little bit late. We've kind of had some scheduling issues as of recent and kind of time frame stuff, but just separate yourself from the BT-16 format just for a moment and think back to BT-15, where we had an Ultimate Cup with very little coverage, it seems like. And I went X1 at it. So shout outs to me.
What are you playing?
It was I played Bloom. I thought I was not crazy about this format. It
This is still
became pretty
15,
clear.
right?
It became pretty clear that Numemon, Red Hybrids, and Mirage were meta defining. And so I was like, I played Armors a bunch. I did have an X2 showing with Armors this format, which I was pretty happy with. I played Machine a couple times. I had an X3 with Machine, and I had a blast with that. And then I was like, maybe I will play Nume or Red Hybrids or Mirage for one of these last ones. And then I thought, I'll just play Bloom. I ended up going X and 1.
Sounds like it was the right choice.
A good old time. It was good enough for 10th, I think was my final placement. So didn't get that Emperor Greymon, which was pretty sad, but still good. I beat a round 1. I played against a Gamamon player and won. Gamamon had some of the best LM cards, I think, in the set. That Ukkomon and that purple Gamamon are insane, but everything else around it is not very good.
Yeah. There's definitely been some Gammas showing up in events. I don't know if any of them have placed really, but I've played against a couple in those last recent events. They try to get you with it.
It can get going. It has some sticking power with the Galoose Gamamon. The Ukkomon makes it a little sticky, and then the Gamamon helps with some of those on deletion effects. But I ended up beating Gamamon round 1. Round 2, I had a trio of Shine Greymon opponents, or not Shine Numemon opponents. This was the first one. This was red base Numemon.
Weird.
And I was actually horrified to play red base Numemon because they tech in the Gigimon egg that increases your deletion-based effects, and then play Crimson Blaze.
That sounds really cool.
So they do it to get a 7k Crimson Blaze, which sort of the way you play around Crimson Blaze in Bloom is land level 5s. And your level 5s are 7k, the Agitar and etc. And so a 7k Crimson Blaze is pretty hard to deal with.
Oh, yeah.
But the red version lacks draw power compared to black and purple. So if you're able to answer their early stacks, then you can win from there. So I was pretty happy to win that. Round 3, I played against Shine. And it wasn't like Shine Greymon, like swing with Marcus, 2 checks, blah, 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 whatever. It was the Ruin Mode Turbo version with it plays the what's the yellow Shine, Jacob?
The one that like suspends your Tamers to -4?
Suspend Tamers and the minuses DP.
Yeah, it's like suspend all your yellow Tamers, and for each Tamer suspended by this.
Yeah, that's the one.
-3.
So
from BT3 Shine.
BT3 Shine,
the original one.
So
that's wild. That's a Nume counter, huh? They did that just for medical?
No, so the way it works is you go into that Shine off of a Marcus BT-12 that you played that turn, and it suspends it, triggers the Marcus, and then you go into ruin mode for free. So it's a way to suspend the Marcus without swinging with it.
And you probably training into it, so for like push out a 5 up for 1 into ruin mode. That's
so
wild.
Theoretically, you can, with enough setup, get a permanent minus 10k on your opponent's board until they die. Which is pretty disgusting, but
Seems pretty good.
Bloom Lord a little bit faster than that, which was pretty nice. Also, Quartz modding all the Marcuses is quite good.
Yeah.
I was 3-0 into round 4, which I haven't been 3-0 in quite some time, so that was feeling pretty good. I ran into Black Numemon, and ended up losing that in a 2-1 clencher. The player landed on game 3 a critical Venusmon, and I didn't have a way to out the Venusmon. Venusmon turns off Bloom really hard. All of your level 6s and 7s have crucial when digivolving skills. So I ended up losing to that, and to kind of put salt in the wound, right at the end, he said, "Oh, and by the way, thanks for teaching me how to beat SecCon." And I was like, "Oh, no problem, man."
Oh, he's gonna hear you talking about this match then.
He's a fan, yeah. So if you're watching, shout outs to you. He ended up finishing X and 2, which kind of doomed my tiebreakers. So thanks for beating me, man. Round 5 was the Marcus Yellow Hybrids deck. Another matchup that I was really horrified to play against. Shining Blast and Crimson Blaze do a number on my deck, but Quartzmon does a number on their deck, so it was pretty brutal. Game 3, it was really down to the wire, but I had an exact lethal line with Bloom and Quartzmon and all that, so that was nice. Let's see, so that was round 5. Round 6 was not the last Numemon player, but was something else. Hold on, it'll come to me here. Damn. I can't remember what round 6 was. It was really good. Yeah, it was a while ago at this point. Round 7, I do remember, was against purple-based Numemon, because that's sort of how the round ended. And the player I was playing against, I actually knew because he got top 8 at Nationals. He was one of the Anubismon players who made it into top 8. So he was a very, very strong player, and obviously a very strong deck.
Yeah.
You can find that match on Twitch if you look up May Ultimate Cup. He was streaming. It was a super clutch match.
Your round 6 was Royal Knights.
My round 6 was Royal Knights. How'd you know that?
I looked back in the chat.
Chats.
Oh,
from
that's why he's here. That's why we brought him.
Sick. Yes, Royal Knights. Oh wow, yeah, the Royal Knights game. Holy moly! Let me pedal backwards at the Numemon stuff. The Royal Knights deck. I decked myself out game 1.
Oh,
he had maybe the worst Royal Knights brick I've ever seen. Where his turn 1 was hard pass. His turn 2 was play structure deck tie pass, and then his turn 3 was play Craniumon.
wow.
And so I was like, wow, that is brutal. And I ended up losing this game because his opener was so slow that I did an early promote just to search, because my hand wasn't particularly good either.
Mhm.
I ended up going 3 wide with level 5s, and he DG dimensioned the board, which in Bloom is wipes the whole
Not
board.
a good time.
And so I was like, I was pretty behind on it, and then he ends up doing a defensive Omnimon, where he spits out Craniumon, Leopardmon, and then Jessmon, and then the Omni. So he has 4 Royal Knights, and I'm like, okay, I just need to wipe all of these and then kill him the next turn. And I end up drawing through the deck. And I'm like, well, that's not very well played by me. Then I end up winning the next 2 matches. I actually think Royal Knights Bloom is pretty bad for Royal Knights because if you can get to a level 6 and you can out the Royal Knights as they play them, they can never really set up their Drazzle.
Yep.
So it was a match I definitely should have lost, but then ended up winning, which I was happy about.
Also,
so back to the new May. Oh, go ahead, Jacob.
Quantumon's probably really pretty good in the Royal Knights.
Quantumon is sick.
You just name Digimon every turn, and this Quantumon can never get messed with.
Yeah, Quantumon is so good. Quantumon was definitely the MVP of the tournament. So into the Numemon, it was game 3, and the interesting thing about purple versus black versus red Numemon is the purple base. The benefit to it is that it has a better draw engine, like pretty clearly. Like the purple Demimera, you pitch a level 5 or higher and draw 2 is extremely strong. The downside is they will necessarily deal with their board for you because they need to swing with those rookies to get the draw.
Yeah.
So they will suicide their Ukkomons in, which is very good for you because it's one less thing you have to deal with. So the way that the game ended up going is I was down to 1 security, and he still had all 5, and then he had something in the raising. So he promotes, he swings, does my last security, and basically has an empty board. And I have no security. And I end up playing 3 of my best turns in all of Digimon. I choked him to 1 3 turns in a row, and then with 0 cards left in my deck, killed him on that 3rd turn. Drew through the entire deck, had an exact lethal line with swing 3 checks with Bloom off of a DNA'd Chimeramon. 3 checks at 16, resolved all of them, and then Quartz swung, trashed the last one, and then swung for game. It was just exquisite play by me. It was outstanding. I watched it back and was like, damn, I'm a genius. And finished X1. So farewell to the BT-16 format.
Yeah, that's in the review.
We'll see you in 16. If you want to see the list, it's in Discord. So jump in the Discord.
Oh yeah. So now that BT-15 is in the rear view, we're getting into 16. What are you guys excited for? You think? So I know there's a lot of things I'm really hyped for building, and a few things that have actually surprised me. But I want to hear your guys' thoughts on the format. So Jacob, why don't you start us off?
So I think BT-16 is really interesting because I think a lot of people are sort of like new toy blinded by the secret rares of this format. Obviously, Rapidmon X Antibody and Magmon X Antibody being very, very strong cards.
I don't even know what they do.
They win you games.
They seem good. Yes, they look really good, but I don't really build them.
They're so I think a lot of people, and it's kind of crazy. I don't recall a format where we've had so many people being on best deck in the format.
Yeah,
like
outside
even like
Nats.
Like the only thing I could think of is like Nats with Anubis. A lot of people were playing Anubis, but we like even at our locals, we have like relatively newer players who are like, yeah, I'm buying 4 copies of Magnamon X Antibody, 3 copies of Rapidmon X Antibody. And
but to be fair, they have been playing armors.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's sort of the thing is like it's a rare thing where the top deck in the format's a fan favorite. People love Vmon and Terriermon. They love those guys.
And so to give them like decks that are like very, very strong in a color that has like a ton of support, it's just really interesting. And like not just the player you're thinking of, like even back down at like Mox in Eugene, there are like a ton of players even down there, which their scenes relatively can be a lot more like a lot more like fun decks to play. Even they're buying Magnamon X antibodies and Rapamon. Just everybody is like, yeah, I want to play yellow armor or I want to play Beamon armor, and it's super cool. I'm very excited. Like these decks are very very strong. I still think Mirage is gonna dominate. I still think Numemon is going to mop tournaments. Numemon having one of the highest conversion rates for a tier 1 deck.
Yeah.
And getting new tools. So like there's like the only deck that I think like isn't going to see play from last format is I think Red Hybrid is pretty pushed out as of this point.
Ding dong, the
really
witch is
unfortunate.
Really? Even with new Ukko? So much card advantage.
There's just so many decks that you just like can't really do anything against. Like Magnax dude, just like stop you in your tracks.
Well, our Armors was already pretty good versus Red Hybrids as well last format.
And then they got better pieces.
Yeah, right.
Well, and the play rate of the deck's going to go up, so you can't just hope to dodge.
It's true.
Yeah. So sorry, Red Hybrid players.
Yeah, cry me a river.
I just got my Flamemons and my last Agunimon like a week before the set. The week before the
you don't want
was done.
You don't want the
no
all BT-12 Aldemon.
It's the bad Aldemon.
Are you kidding? It has on deletion play at Takuya. How's that bad?
Oh, never mind. I'll buy it off you.
Yeah. What are you excited to play, Jacob?
I'm updating a lot of old stuff. Like the new Dober and Cerberus are really good compared to what we've had. Obviously, that's not like a huge. I don't know what the word I'm trying to use. That's not a big new thing. That's just updates. The new big Ukkomon, that did surprise me. That is actually kind of fun. So I kind of brought back. I'm bringing back that Night Raid Rush deck that I had. If you guys remember that, the purple rookies.
Yeah.
Cutting out the Night Raid package, which is unfortunate. Slotting in the big Ukko package. Leaving the Mervas, the level 4s, and the rookies, and it's working. I mean, I gotta get some more games on it, but it's kind of fun. Not gonna lie.
Well, we saw someone posted in Discord. Big Ukko Belfamon.
I'm gonna try that.
I was like, yeah, that's pretty interesting.
I like it. I think that list needs a little bit of updating or tweaking.
The list that someone posted it's just four of all of the Belfamon cards. 4 of all of the Ukkomon cards, and that's 48 cards, and then the last 2 slots were Death X's.
Yeah, and I mean, it would probably work.
I was like, yeah, there could be a little refinement.
I think if you just cut like one big Ukko and one Louis, put into Gift of Darkness, the deck's already like playable.
That's what I'm saying. Like we can fit in we can probably fit in calling. We can probably fit in like some like a rare mon or two. Like we could probably fit in some cards that aren't.
I've started playing with it. You and I are definitely going to be talking later about it. But
yeah, for sure. So yeah, big Ukkomon. That was that's the sad thing is because the immediate thing for me is okay. What can I do with 8 Ukkomon? Because I've been a believer in promo Ukkomon for months. But I think people are obviously starting to catch on at this point. But 8 Ukkomon, like, what does that really mean? And so
I don't know if you can fit 8 in most decks, though.
Well, so that is what I am finding. Is it is actually a big chunk of a deck. Once I've gotten some of the more meta stuff kind of ironed out or working on at this point. But one of the things I want to do is see is 8 Ukkomon a good base for hybrid decks?
Probably.
So some of the hybrid decks that don't really have good rookies, that's basically all of them besides red hybrid.
I think blue blue hybrid rookies very bad, and I think
blue hybrid rookies are really bad. And green hybrids doesn't really have a rookie.
Yeah, green, yellow, they don't even
Yellow
have one.
hybrids really doesn't have a rookie. I mean, they've been playing like Agumons, right? As their rookies, because that's how bad their cards are.
So I think this kind of leads into a question I have: is in your guys' opinion, which Uko's better, the old one or the new one? And I think it's kind of hard to just say this one's strictly better, right? They're both situationally better.
Yeah.
But overall, which one do you think's better?
What do you say, Jacob? I know my answer off the
I know
bat.
my answer.
I'd probably have to give it to Promo Ukkomon. Promo Ukkomon's just like so aggressive, and the like the memory gain, the 0 to digivolve, and Promo just enables so many decks to keep up. Like Belphemon, for example, is a notoriously slow deck. Promo Ukkomon single-handedly allows that deck to keep up.
I think I agree. The Promo one is, like, as a tech choice, I think is better. Because like the Evo for 0 is really why, in my opinion. Like the memory gain on it's nice. It can be stopped easily by floodgates. But like if you have a memory setter and then you go to 4 just to start a turn every turn. And I mean the new one's card search is really good, but it's that 1 to Evo, especially if it's like your turn 1, can really hurt. What do you think, Basil?
You're both wrong, unfortunately.
Yeah.
The BT-16 one is better, which is insane. Because I was thinking about it, and I've played more Ukkomon than maybe anyone on the planet. I've played that card in every deck. Every deck that I have ever played, I have taken rookies out, replaced them with Ukkomon, and seen if it's better. The thing that you find playing Ukkomon is if your egg does not draw innately off of Ukkomon, the promo Ukkomon can actually be somewhat of a detriment. So the decks that really take advantage of promo Ukkomon draw without the Ukkomon doing anything. This is red hybrids swinging with their Takuya and drawing off of it. This is Numemon evolving their Numemon and drawing off the Suno, and things like that. The decks that play when attacking draw 1 eggs really actually don't feel that great to put Ukkomon on top of it, is something that I've learned.
Because if you only have the 1 Ukko, you really don't want to swing with it.
Yes,
you want it to sit there and hatch every turn.
It makes some of your decision trees actually quite awkward. Whereas the BT-16 Ukkomon can sit there and generate value irrespective of the egg that it sits atop.
I want to try them with Viximons.
I think if it evoed for 2 in the raising, you'd still play it. I think that highly of the card. Especially because it grabs Tamers and Digimon. That is so insane.
So in the past, we've said take whatever deck, put in 2 Ukkos. Are you saying swap it to 2 of the new ones? Are you saying play 4?
Yes.
What do you think?
I think the new Ukko is more universal. Because I think think of like a single stack deck. Like let's say for example, Tyrant Kabuterimon. If you use the old Ukko, the promo Ukko, you promote, you gain no benefits off of your egg, and you hatch. And that deck doesn't really like to run a lot of rookies because it needs to run like the whole line. And it needs to run a bunch of Izzies. It has a lot of Megas in the deck. It has a good amount of options that you want to run. So it's not like you're lousy with rookies in that deck. But you promote the new Ukkomon. You can either find a replacement rookie or find the piece of the line you're missing.
Yeah, I agree. Its effect's definitely better. Maybe I'm just overvaluing the 0 cost Evo. Yeah,
no. Well, obviously, 0 cost Evo is superior.
I think it comes down to how memory efficient your deck is.
But if the other interesting thing about the Ukkomon turn 1, and this is something Justin and I found when we were playing Armors a lot.
It's kind of
was we took trainings out of Armors. Because you evo your Ukkomon and now you have no color source for your options. So unless you have Ukkomon Searcher, Ukkomon Tamer, or anything like that, you have Ukkomon Pass. So the 1 to Evo kind of circumvents that issue, which is quite nice. But yeah, I think quite highly of the BT-16 Ukko, and it is reflected on its alt art price on TCG Player.
Yeah, that card.
That's
really
going to be
up.
expensive play set to get.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully it'll get banned before that. I mean,
anything else you're crazy about in BT-16, Basil?
I've been loving Ukkomon. Shaq is all of the duo Tamers are super strong.
They were definitely built for DNA strats. I really like it.
Well, and then the interesting thing about it is Cody and TK is de-digivolve on a Tamer. That is crazy. So you de-digivolve their thing, you source strip with the inheritables, and then you bounce with the Ukkomons. I've been really enjoying that deck. I've been playing a lot of Tyrant Kabuterimon. I think it's a contender this format.
I've seen it around. It looks really cool.
And then Imperial Dramon as well. I've been playing a good amount with Justin. We're just looking for what to play at some of these regional tournaments, and we think those are all for me. Those are all things I'm thinking about playing.
I think Luga got a lot better. I think if any fans of Virus Imperial, that's the best this deck's ever been, which I've said before.
Yes,
but
yes. New Dino B is quite strong.
New Dino B and the new Wormmon is absolutely insane.
Yes, the new Wormmon is very good.
And I mean, you couldn't play Fire Mode Ace in it. I have been at one.
Oh, the blue-green?
Yeah, because it can go on any Dragon mode.
Of course.
And it's an end of attack unsuspend, so you can still go into it when attacking, get the end of attack unsuspend, and it still works. And because of the way you DNA stack, you can bottom deck almost anything because you're going to have so many sources. So it's actually a good fit in the deck.
We are confirmed to get that promo Minomon.
Yes, eventually.
So that is coming soon. Allegedly, that's very good for the deck.
Yeah, well, just because the new Wormmon's red, Evo on red, Evo on blue, or Evo on Minomon.
Right. Cool. Yeah, it's shaping up to be an interesting format, that's for sure.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. I think it's
it'll be a lot of fun if I can get in any events. That is.
I think something I was talking to a buddy of mine earlier was I think the players who are going to see success this format are players who are able to adapt their style of gameplay. Very similar to in like BT6 when the bonds came out and like Bond of Friendship came out. A lot of players had to pivot from a mid-rangey control style to freely playing a lot more aggressive.
Yeah.
In this format, we kind of have to pivot back in sorts.
Yeah, you have to be a little more patient.
This format is this format is like you just said, reward patience and rewards thinking through a lot of gameplays. If you're staring down a Rapidmon board of starter deck Rapidmon and a Rapidmon X, and you're playing Magnex, you have to think, well, if they have Gargomon Ace, both of these stacks really hurt, so I can't swing before trashing security. If you're playing against like Shakomon, they could have one of 3 different ace cards that are all really strong. So it's a format that like
you're gonna want diversity.
You're gonna want to pay attention to what your opponents are searching. You're gonna want to pay attention to what your opponents are playing. Keep track of like, oh, I've seen 2 Imperial Dramon Fighter aces. They probably have a 3rd one.
I mean, I remember when the aces first came out, we had this discussion where it's like you could put 1 ace in your deck, and if you see it on a red boost, for example, and you bottom deck it on a memory boost, your opponent's worried about an ace the rest of the game.
Yeah, there's mind games there.
It's like, who's gonna play just one,
Well, that was the other thing is that we were in the Ultimate Cup when I was playing Bloom. Basically, I played 3 Lily Ace, and my opponent was like, "Surely you don't play a 3rd one." He said that, and he's like, "I'll swing," and then I revealed the 3rd one, and he's like, You play 3? And I was like, I do in fact play 3. And he's like, wow, GG's. I said, that's right.
Fair enough.
And yeah, ace cards are. I think that the ace cards really kind of. I don't want. I've become of the opinion. I think the sort of on play and when digivolving part of aces is not the best game design. Because it really does promote. All right, I'm going to Magna Angemon for 4, and I'm going to kill your guy and recover 1. I'm going to set up Venusmon next turn. I think that kind of sucks in terms of Zudomon is the same way. Angewomon's the same way to a certain extent. I think these level 6s are a little bit more tailored towards. Yeah, let's do the digivolving skill.
Well, so before we got and played with the aces, that's kind of what we were thinking is there's so much counterplay because you have to have a level 4 set up. Well, how many ways are there to remove a level 4 with a when attacking skill, let alone before I attack at all, to the point where there's counterplay involved. But now it's like people have realized this is just so much value that I can turn 1 this and it's worth it.
Right. Yeah. But the level 6s, I mean, aside from obviously the Grand Quagamon ace, which is played off of Tyrant for 0, people aren't really playing Valkyrie ace for cost. People aren't really playing Vikemon ace for cost, which I think is good. I think either paying that full 3 or 4 to Evo or setting up that level 5, that partition level 5, I think it's nice.
So the ace card, let's use Magna Ace as an example. If this was a 7 play cost, would people still hard play it? That's the only thing that was different.
If it's 7 to play and overflowed 3?
Yeah, that's the only thing they changed. Would it still be
Probably
playable?
not, right?
Would it be bad? Would it be?
I think the part of the reason it's so strong is it's a 4 on play.
But the deck already hard plays the other one for 7, gets the recover, but this also has
But people aren't even playing that card anymore.
Well, because there's a better option.
Secton has completely fell off because decks are so aggressive these days.
But what would the sweet spot be? Right? Because you just said 4 is too little, 7's too much.
Well, and then the kick in the pants really is Myotismon Ace 5 hard play. So maybe 5 is that sweet spot. 2 bodies.
Yeah,
I'd rather have a security and kill one of their bodies, right?
For 1 less memory, you can.
Wow, that's what. Maybe 5 should have been what they did, because at the end of the day, it's sort of the rationale is okay. It's 4 to play overflow 3. So theoretically, it is a 7 cost.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
But
however, comma.
But then they just go into some way they have protection on their level 6 or whatever, and then it doesn't matter.
Well, yeah, or Venusmon, and then Venusmon in a ruin mode, or.
And then when ruin mode dies, it doesn't matter.
The same old story.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. Yeah, okay. BT-16.
I think I'm really excited for this format. Hopefully we can get some good events going.
True.
All right. There is one question in the Q&A I definitely want to go over. And it is from Dwight K. Schrute. I don't know if you're allowed to have that name. I think that might be trademarked. If you could add a new color to the TCG, what would that color be? And what would the overall theme or playstyle of that color be as well? I think this is just an interesting question. So first off, I mean, we already have 6 colors, so I don't foresee as
are we taking one out?
I don't think we're taking one out. This is if you were to add a color. So
okay, why don't you start us off, because I got to think about it real quick.
I don't know what color would be, but I think one thing with this is what would you like an archetype of a color to do? So, blue's got their source strip, red's got, power stuff. But right now there's nothing to take things from opponents, which is good. I'm glad there's not. But that is something other TCGs have. Well, that doesn't. No, I'm saying
mind control.
I'm not saying we should have that, but that's something some other games have had.
It could be dangerous.
I think we can't do that in Digimon because of the stacking. But
make their whole.
But if there was you could play one Digimon out of their inheritables or something, that could be kind of cool.
Yoink. I don't know if any of the fans at home ever played Hearthstone. Back in the day, that one of the classes was priest, and priest had cards that would say steal one of your opponent's minions based off of certain attack thresholds.
Mhm.
And I really liked that deck.
Yeah.
It was called Control Priest.
Yeah, and Magic has lots of ways to like gain control of something of your opponents, or like play something out of their graveyard, stuff like that.
Mhm.
So it'd be cool to see that come to this game. I'm not saying we need it or want it, but it would be very difficult to balance something like that.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
will admit. So it would have to be very strict.
You got any ideas, Jacob?
One of the big problems behind that too is kind of a problem that like One Piece is suffering through right now. Is that our game is relatively played mostly online over webcam, so it's really hard.
Yeah, right.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard to play stuff.
I didn't even think of that. You're absolutely right. I'm not even saying that's what my answer would have been. It's just something that popped into my head. I had another answer earlier that I've already forgotten.
Well, my answer is that we should not add another color until we give identities to the colors that we already have. Black literally has 2 decks
with different identities,
and they're not, and they don't even feel like it's hard to call Machine Dramon a black deck, strictly speaking.
Yeah.
And it's also really hard to call Alphamon a black deck. Because, like, let's be honest, it's effectively a purple deck.
Mm-hmm.
When you really think about it. Yes, it does stuff by play cost, and yes, it sets up a blocker. But at the end of the day, that really doesn't feel like a black deck, and you really can't even call it like it doesn't feel like a black deck, because what is a black deck supposed to do?
See, but both the decks you're describing and a third black deck, and I know this is not a good deck, but Galactimon, all 3 of these gain additional sources from trash. Is this not a common theme?
It's just not, right?
It's not like, their identity, but
that's not like putting stuff from the trash into sources.
I mean, the original.
But what other color has that in any aspect?
The original black identity was blocker.
Right.
having a big blocker. But
reboot.
A lot of other decks are able to block
every color has blocker and reboot now.
The thing, this is the reason why I like Hover Espimon so much, is because black was really becoming the gain knowledge about your opponent's deck and then do effects based off of that.
Yeah, like
this was
the aliens.
Vedamon,
yeah,
the aliens deck was reveal your opponent's deck and then delete play cost based off of the play
that was
cost
really
of
cool.
What you revealed. And I think that could be something viable. Like there was a Vegemon that you could put something from your opponent's trash to the top of their deck and then gain effects based off of that. I think manipulating your opponent's deck could be a viable identity for black.
That my argument to that, I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I love that idea. It's another thing that they would have to try very hard to balance. Right.
Right. Well, that's the thing.
If it affects is like search 10 bottom deck and you choose the order as the opponent.
It's kind of the problem. Is like the Vedamon deck is not a deck. Right. It's terrible.
But if you gave it 2 more lines,
that's what I'm saying. If they printed a like a black gray, like Wargrey, for example, black Wargreymon, and it said, take your opponent's trash and for the amount of cards in it, delete play cost of Digimon that many cards, or whatever the case. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like they could do something and be like, okay, yeah, this is clearly too strong. But
they could give it something just like Thoughtseize from Magic. Of just like
make it an actual
like making your opponent reveal their hand and discard stuff.
I think,
or like take.
But
cards
that's already that's already Ravamon.
Well, but Ravamon does it on a level 6. If they did that too early, and you could just bully your opponent and not play, because if you keep a hand with 1 rookie and a 5 and like a tamer, and they like strip that rookie out of your hand on their turn 1 because they hard played for 8. It's like, okay, I'll hard play my 5 and pass. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing is like like even look at black cards in this set. Like it's just like I have it pulled up here because I was like raging. There's D Brigade, which D Brigade is another black deck, right? But really, it's like green and red.
Black's kind of just the grab bag of decks.
And then it just has all this like random stuff. Like it has like a black Gamamon. There's a black Pulsemon card, and then there's these random like Publimon, which is the same thing. Manipulate your opponent's security. Take the top card of a Digimon, put it into security, and then if they add security, do effects. I don't know. I think like if they did a whole line of Publimon, which is manipulate your opponent's security and do effects, or they did a whole line of Espimon, Hover Espimon, which is manipulate your opponent's security and gain effects, would it really be too strong? I don't know.
I think rearranging the order of their security, eventually you still have to go through it, right?
Right. But you can just sort of do it a little more strategic. And I love Hover Espimon. I love that guy.
I definitely like the idea of like giving more identity to current colors. Over introducing a new color.
I mean, blue's identity is pretty obvious, even though it's historically not good. Finally getting playable.
Yeah, I think the only cards with the only colors with extremely well set up identities is blue, is bounce, source strip, and having bigger sources. Purple, which is play from the trash. Red, which is big number cards to the right. And then yellow, I think is coming into its own with DP minus, manipulate the security, the second hand strategy. Green is in a really awkward spot because it's kind of like red, big number, turn cards to the right. It also has piercing is like part of its identity.
Well, they had an identity for a while, and they realized the identity's useless. It doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
So now they're trying to do stuff.
I think green is in an awkward spot. I think black is in an awkward spot.
We're not saying they're bad colors, guys. We're just saying there's not an identity.
I am saying they're bad colors. I am, in fact, saying that.
But there are the color itself, maybe, but there are good decks in every color.
I don't think so. I think Alphamon is pretty good. It had a top at an event recently. I think Machinedramon, this set is pretty good. I think Bloom is pretty good. I think Tyrant is pretty good. But green has not dominated since Grandis got restricted.
Yeah.
And even then it was still second fiddle to Blackwork Ray.
Yeah.
All right, Jay, what's your thoughts?
My thoughts are just that like I just agree that I think that we should work on giving extra like color identity to the current colors we have.
And
I think it'd be
four colors branching out a little bit. Don't get me wrong, but there's definitely not a lot of structure in some of these.
We got to branch in. You feel me?
I'm also I'd be more akin to liking the idea of like more multicolored decks. I like decks that are able to utilize cards from like different colors.
Yeah.
So like, we have red yellow decks and we have and we have yellow purple decks, but like, let's start working on more like yellow blue decks or like more yellow green.
Yellow blue.
Well, we're getting a yellow blue, right? The hybrids?
Yeah.
The nightmare.
I agree with you. I would love to see like every two color combination be represented, which it'll happen eventually. My argument is that most of the two colors, like red, purple, Imperial, it's a purple deck. Like red, black,
one dominates the
stuff,
other.
it's a red deck. And like you can splash in an option or two, but it doesn't really tap into two color identities, which is good from a balancing standpoint. But you know what I'm saying?
I will say the new Dex Darugamon line, that does feel like a black purple deck. Which is pretty sick. The collision, the blocker, And
Collision
then
is a
sort of
cool
trash effect.
mechanic.
Yeah, I think
especially when we get the Dexter stuff.
yeah,
set.
in
That stuff's
17,
crazy.
that's gonna be awesome.
All right, well, I think we've been talking for a little while, so you guys have anything else we want to talk about?
Should we rip cards of the week?
I mean, we can say some. I'm not going to put on graphics, so I don't know if Jesse's going to later. But yeah, what do you got?
I've got one. If
Basil.
y'all got one,
I got one.
all right. I'll lead us off because I've been playing a lot of Tyrant Kabuterimon. New green deck. Want to give it a shot. I played a lot of Grandis when it was strong before it got restricted. And so I've kind of had that itch to have a big old bug coming at you. And one card I think people are really sleeping on in the deck is good old fashioned Promo 75, Ukkomon. This card was obviously a staple in the Grandis deck because it was truly an X antibody deck. You wanted to go Ukkomon, Akua X, Grandis, and then do your combo. And I think people are sort of going in different directions with the level 5s. Obviously, the Metal Life Kuwagamon is very strong, but I think the Ukkomon promo of getting that mini Ice Wall effect, you can go into the Grand Quagga Ace for 3, suspend 2 things, gain 2 back, and then attack. Some of your effects, say delete a Digimon, gain a memory. So you can effectively have a 0-cost Evo into that Grand Quagamon Ace, which is nice. As well as the Hercules Kabuterimon, suspend something, and then attack and pierce and all that stuff. So Ukkomon promo's been doing me a lot of good in the Hercules Kabuterimon deck.
Makes sense to me. Jay, you want to go next?
You can go next.
All right, mine's going to be BT-16 card, and it's going to be the Wormmon. I love Imperial Dramon. Awesome. It's one of my favorite Digimons, and Virus Imperial is one of my favorite decks since EX3. I've played it in so many different formats. And looking at spoilers for this set, I was like, oh, this Dinobi is really cool. It helps the consistency and a little bit more aggression on your level 5s. And I thought that was going to be it for it. I was like, the deck will be a little better, whatever. And, I remember reading the Wormmon. For some reason, I was unimpressed. I don't know why. I went back and
it's not an intuitive card.
It's very unassuming, but I put in 4 just to be like, I want to see what it does, right?
Sure.
And I mean, the first time you just pop off from it, it's like, oh my god, this is insane. Like you go promo Shadramon, played out of trash, Evo for 1, DNA. Here's my whole combo for so little memory now, and I can get an extra swing off my level 5s because of the Dinobi. Or like my fighter mode dies on deletion, play Wormmon if it's my turn. Stack, all this stuff.
Yeah, the combos with that card is awesome.
And it's digivolving from trash, which is good because,
that's where your stuff is.
That's where most of your stuff is, especially after deletion, playing it by an effect. So, I mean, when I first read it, I don't know why I was not impressed by it, but after playing it, I mean, it's staple 4 of. I even swapped to Red Eggs. I mean, I'm all in on this Wormmon.
Yeah, I like it.
All right. Clock's ticking. You're up.
The main deck I've been testing a lot of for this format is Phoenixmon X Antibody.
Mm-hmm.
That deck is just it's such untapped potential. I just have to figure out what the good cards are to play in it. But one of the new cards that I got this format that it only got 2 cards, but these 2 cards are insane. But out of them, the Garudamon X Antibody does just so much. It plays out a body for free. It pops a Digimon. It gives the played body rush. It's inherited trash as security. It just it does everything you want your support level 5 to do. And the Garudamons that we have aren't very strong. We have Garudamon Ace, which plays Tamers and pops blockers, and then the rest are kind of mid. But they look really good with Garudamon X Antibody on top of them. Because
so you're saying if the deck ends up being absolutely broken, that's the card we got to ban. Thanks.
Yes, Garudamon X Antibody is so strong. And the Phoenixmon X Antibody is just almost as strong and does almost as much as it do. But just like that level 5, like just allows the deck to like branch off, and like the giving extra rush. So it's not just the tamer that's giving rush. It's like it's crazy. It's the deck's a lot of fun, and Grudo X is the card that is like been my like this card's just so cool.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys for your time. Thank you, viewers, for watching. Hopefully, this scratches the itch. Like I said, studio was inaccessible, so we're trying to do what we can. But thank you guys for hopping on with me late at night for this chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for having us.